Hey, welcome back. Or if you're new here, good to have you. I'm Agent Monahan, and this is the channel where we take the topics people have always meant to look into, but never got around to. History, science, economics, politics, how things actually work. And we break them down anyone can follow. If that sounds like your kind of channel, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss it. Now, let's get into it. Today we're talking about Tim Cook. Specifically, why a man nobody called a visionary built the most valuable company in history. October 2011. Steve Jobs dies at 56. Tim Cook is named permanent CEO. On the day it was confirmed, Apple's share price dropped 5%. Jobs was irreplaceable, they said. Cook would be the caretaker, steady, capable, not the next chapter. That bet aged badly. To understand what Cook built, you have to start with who he is. He grew up in Robertsdale, Alabama, son of a shipyard worker. No garage, no soldering iron at 12. He studied industrial engineering, got an MBA, spent 12 years at IBM. Where Jobs saw a canvas, an object that would change how people felt, Cook saw a system. Not the art, the architecture behind the art. In 2014, he became the first openly gay CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He wrote a short essay about human dignity, the idea that his visibility might help one kid feel less alone. No press conference, no brand moment. That tells you something about the man. When Cook took over, iPhone was 70% of Apple's revenue. His answer: build new categories, then tie them all together. Apple Watch launched in 2015, into a market where smartwatches had already flopped. Cook's version became the health device you wore every day, and kept you inside the Apple world. Not the best-selling smartwatch, the best-selling watch, full stop, ahead of every Swiss manufacturer that has been doing this for 100 years. Then, 2016. Apple removed the headphone jack. The internet was furious for approximately 1 week. Editorials were written. Principled stands were taken. AirPods launched the same year. Cook said nothing. Within 2 years, white wireless earbuds were everywhere. That is the Cook era in miniature. Slightly maddening when it happens, apparently obvious in hindsight. The logic behind all of it was services. Under Jobs, Apple sold you the device. Under Cook, Apple sold you everything that ran on it, and made leaving expensive. App Store, iCloud, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Pay. By 2025, those services generated roughly $109 billion a year. The margin on services 75%. The margin on an iPhone 36%. Sit with that. In 2020, Cook oversaw the shift from Intel chips to processors Apple designed entirely in-house. The first, the M1, outperformed Intel's best at a fraction of the power draw. A decade of preparation. No visible seam. The M-chip line that followed, M2, M3, M4, rewrote the Mac's competitive position entirely. The division that built it was run by John Ternus. That is not a coincidence. The misses were real. Apple Maps launched directing users into bodies of water, onto runways, into fields that contained no roads. Cook personally apologized and told users to switch to Google Maps. For a man who rarely broke cover, that was notable. Apple also spent nearly a decade building a secret car and canceled it in 2024. It took the press about 3 months to absorb the news, which is either a tribute to Apple's secrecy or a sign everyone had quietly given up on it years earlier. When Cook became CEO in 2011, Apple's market cap was roughly $350 billion. When he announced his departure on April 20, 2026, it was $4 trillion, more than tenfold. the most sustained creation of corporate value in recorded history. The structure he built, hardware, services, an ecosystem you cannot easily leave, proved extraordinarily durable. That durability was not accidental. It was designed. Cook moves to executive chairman. John Turnus, head of hardware engineering, architect of Apple Silicon, takes over as CEO on September 1, 2026. The question is what he does with it, whether he manages the machine Cook built or becomes something genuinely new. Cook has not said much about any of this. He spent 15 years building something designed to outlast himself. That is probably the most revealing thing about the man. That's all for today. Hope that actually made sense of it. If you found it useful, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you catch the next one. Agent Monahan will see you soon.